All right, here's a quick little video showing the fuel trailer that I made. I don't get all the credit because the frame and the fuel tank was already made that we bought on a local farm sale, but I built the black box here on front. Here's a couple pictures showing what the fuel trailer looked like when we got it. All right, so now I'll just start showing you the box and everything inside of it. So I just, first up is these heavy duty hinges. Just got these off of Amazon, and I didn't weld them on, so you can adjust them. You can shim them in and out as needed. And they got this, they're also greasable. So once you open it up, you can grease it. Put a 1-inch bend on this, on the door here. That way it can help shed some water. Also welded on a 3/8 inch pipe. There's a nice little handle there. Got some locking clamps here that are very nice. They're adjustable and they also lock, so you got to pull the back little trigger there. I got 2 of those on. Also got a little ramp here on the bottom because the door is pretty heavy and this trailer is going to be going through the field, so I didn't want those hinges taking all of the load as it goes through the fields, through the rough bumps. So as it closes, it hits this little ramp and it slides up the ramp, and then as you lock it down, it slides it up the ramp even more. That way those hinges aren't taking all of the load, and this has helped supporting it. All right, so here's the inside of the door. Nothing real fancy here. I got 4 washers welded on the inside of the door. That way you can prop it open. Got a bar here. It's laying in this little cradle. I also put threads on this rod, that way it's adjustable with a locking nut. All right, so here's the inside of the box. Got 4 reels, a battery, and a battery charger. So everything here on this trailer is 12 volts. We'll start on the left. Is the air compressor. In the back, it is 12 volt compressor, about 150 or 60 pounds of pressure, and it's about 5 gallons. And then here is the pressure gauge for it right there. Also made a little tool tray here for screwdrivers, pliers, air chucks, whatever you need goes in there. Up here on the left, have 2 lights, so you can fuel at night. Here's the dome light. So I mounted 2 lights on the bottom side in the roof. That way it lights up this compartment. And then the second one here is, I put 4 LED lights on the top of the tank that are very bright. All right, and then here's the switch for the air compressor. And moving on is the diesel fuel reel. It's a 1-inch hose. And you can see the hose in the back goes along the top. I welded in some P-clamps in the back to hold the hose and all the wiring. I just welded on a couple bolts and then fastened the P-clamps to the bolts. And then here's the hose coming out of the end up into the fuel meter and then into the pump as it goes backwards here. So as that fuel will come out and go up to the fuel pump and meter. Right now I've got the tires off and the meter off because it won't fit in my shop because it's too tall. I got really low ceilings in here. I got it on a little dolly so I can roll it in and out. Next up is electrical reel, and we'll get to that here in a bit. So it's a 120 gallon def tank. I tried to mount it as rearward as possible and closest to center because that's about 1,000 pounds completely full. Also put in this quick attach coupling here on the top. That way when you put in your nozzle, you're not damaging any of these threads here in the white plastic, because this black piece is already threaded into it, and that piece is just replaceable. And then you just put a cap back on it. And since DEF is very corrosive, I've got the vent in the back going outside of the box. You can see the vent there in the back corner. That way it doesn't corrode any of the pieces here inside. So right there in the back is where the diesel exhaust fluid comes out. And if there is a leak, there's a valve there you can turn on and off. So as that hose comes out, you can see the pump back there. And then it goes up to the filter housing right there. And it comes into the DEF reel. I don't have the DEF nozzle on there yet because it's back ordered, but it should be here shortly. And then this is just the holder for the DEF nozzle, which is pretty much the same holder here for the diesel nozzle. And I put a swivel on both of these, that way it makes fueling a little bit easier. And I got these little drip trays here below that are stainless steel, and I have these little mats in there to help absorb any of the drips. And then if you do need to replace that or empty this this little tray out, there's 2 tabs here, and all you gotta do is flip these tabs up and the tray comes right out. And then you can replace these or empty it, clean it, and you can just slide it right back in. And all I did was just put some nuts on here to space it out, and a locking nut so it doesn't lose its spacing. And once you got the tabs down, it won't go anywhere. All right, then here's the battery that powers everything. Plan A is for everything to run off this battery. But if the battery is dead, I've got 2 adapters over here. Run this extension cord out and hook up to the battery on the side of the combine. If you don't need it immediately, you can plug the battery charger right up to the battery and plug it into the grain bin or the shop, wherever you're at. I also did put a hole here inside the box, so if there is a leak, you can drain all the fluid. And then here's the valve on the bottom, and I face the valve rearward, that way if a corn stalk does hit it, it doesn't turn it on, it'll just turn it off, just like it is. When we bought the trailer, the fuel tank was mounted the other direction, which puts the pump on the back and the fill on the front, which doesn't work very well for this setup. And since we turned it around, because I wanted the fuel pump toward the box up front, the one and only fuel gauge, you can see right back here, is no longer visible. So I made one here on the back, just by putting in a couple fittings. I put a P-clamp in the center, that way it gives it additional support. That way if it does get a leak, all you got to do is turn this valve off and you'll save your tank of diesel fuel. It also has this handy little step here on the back. That way it's easy to fill right there on top. And I also mounted a fire extinguisher on here as well. And if you do need to drain the tank because of debris or contamination, or maybe condensation buildup, there's a plug you just pull out right there.